Alright, book nerds, I'm really excited for this episode of the podcast. I'll be speaking with voice actor Tony Hale about his role in Poupelle of Chimney Town. A factory town is covered in chimney smoke, and as the townspeople haven't seen the sky in centuries, they no longer believe that stars exist. A chimney sweep and his friendly monster named Poupelle decide to prove that the stars are real. This animated film has everything from an amazing story to beautiful animation and beyond. Let's get right into it and see what Tony has to say about his part in this film. All right, everyone. I'm now talking with Tony Hale. Thank you so much for joining us. Really excited to talk to you about this film. Would you please just real quick introduce yourself and your part in this film?
Yeah, I'm Tony Hale, and I play the character Poupelle in Poupelle of Chimney Town.
So I just watched this film last night. It was beautiful. I loved the characters, the art design, the story, everything about it just blew me away. I'm curious to know what your thought now that the film's done, and everything, and it's out, it's going to be out there. What's your take on the film?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's many things. One is, to your point, it's a stunning movie, and the artistry that was put into this movie is crazy. I mean, the
Oh yeah,
voice actors, we're kind of a very small slice of this pie. Most of the pie is just like the supreme artistry. But the message is it's based on this very popular Japanese children's book by the same name. And it talks about this little boy, Lubici, who lives in this town just full of smoke. And his dad told him that there were stars above the smoke. And nobody believes him except Lubici. And my character Propel comes into the picture. He's made of garbage. And he creates this friendship with Lubici and helps him get to the stars. And I think honestly, man, after this year we've had where we're all just kind of in this crazy smokescreen of God knows
yeah,
what, just knowing that kind of hope of this little kid, that's what we all need right now. It's just to kind of keep walking, you know?
absolutely. So how did you get involved in this project?
They kindly asked me to be a part of it. And I saw some of the animation, and then I read the script and just fell in love with it. So it's always an honor to be asked to be a part of something like this.
So I'm curious to know, as when it comes to doing voice acting, like you said, your character is kind of like as at first is seen as a monster. Um,
Hmm.
but like you said, your character is made up of garbage versus, an actual human character. So I'm
Hmm.
curious when it comes to voice acting, when you have an actual human character, you can, look at the facial expressions to know how they're feeling or what they're thinking, or maybe like the subtext or consciousness. But when it's this character, you don't have any of that. So
Hmm.
how do you go about like figuring out what the character's feeling or thinking and how to convey that when you don't have that to work with?
Yeah, I think honestly it kind of goes back to because what's great with animation is like, I mean, I was a spork in Toy Story, and it's like you just kind of you always kind of think of the person, almost the soul of the character rather than maybe the physical characteristics, because in animation that goes so many different directions. So the soul of Pupel is he's just a really kind of fatherly friend to this kid, Lubici. And just he's also very new to the world, much like Forky was. He didn't understand a lot of things and just had a really kind heart. And but to your point of working with the director, they're the ones who have seen this animation for years. And so they have such an idea of what they want the sound to be. So you kind of play with different voices and then come to the one that kind of fits their vision.
When you're in the recording studio doing the voiceover work, I mean, when you're on set for a TV show or a film, you have those other actors there to play off of. Did you
Hmm.
have other actors from the film with you, or were you by yourself? And how do you kind of try to make that connection with the characters in the film when you're all by yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing it for so long. I get kind of used to doing it by myself to the point where it's odd. It's odd in animation and someone else is there because you just get so used to kind of being in your little box and kind of entering into your play world. But I mean, I honestly, man, it's been a long time since I've done animation with somebody else. So it's such a norm for me that I've the only difference I had was when I did Toy Story, and it was the first time I was in the room with other people, not actors, but the director was there, and he was just kind of reading opposite with me in the same room, and that was probably the only time, recent time I've done it. But typically, it's just you're by yourself.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So how long of a process is it? Like, I mean, you're one of the main characters voicing. So, I mean,
Mhm.
there's a lot of dialogue to go through.
Yeah.
Does it take just as long as, making a regular TV show or a movie? Like, do you feel like it's shorter? Do you have, I'm sure there's probably some lines that, or some scenes that
Yeah.
took a long time to record.
Honestly, man, it took, I think with voice acting, I think this took 2 days. Like we would come in for like maybe 4 or 5 hours each and just knocked it out. So it's very different. Because I mean, obviously on a television series, you're there for like, I think Mysterious Benedict Society, we shot for 5.5 months. And so it's obviously very different. However, the film itself, the voice acting is like 2 days. The film itself, that took years. Like
Oh, absolutely.
they probably spent 3 or 4 years on this movie.
I'm amazed that you only spent 2 days doing all,
Yeah.
like, that's very impressive. I did not think that. I was not expecting that.
Yeah. And then they bring you back if something is not working. But it's just, yeah. And it was really, I mean, the gift is when you can find the voice early enough, and
Mhm.
then you can kind of have a good time. If you can't find the voice, it might take a little longer. Um, but yeah, it's once you get it, you can kind of ride that wave.
Gotcha. And final question before we finish is, without giving any spoilers or anything, do you have a favorite memory or like moment in this film that like you voiced, when you were doing your voice acting that just really sticks with you?
Um, there's a moment, just I think they're bonding that gets closer and closer and closer, and then just the discover that they have together towards the end is really powerful, and so that shared discovery, that was really exciting to read and do.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate the time. I know we didn't have
Thanks,
much,
man.
but I really appreciate it.
Thanks, man. So nice meeting you.
You as well. And again, I absolutely loved the film. It was
Oh,
beautiful. I
thanks, man.
really
It's really
enjoyed it. You
beautiful.
did a fantastic job, and the rest of the cast did as well. I encourage everyone to see this film if they have the opportunity. It's fantastic and will make you feel pretty much all of your emotions. I, for one, loved it, and thank you, Tony, for telling us more about it and about his part in the film. Take care, and thanks for listening. Any final words for our listeners before we sign off, Tony?
Hey, this is Tony Hale, and I voiced the character Poupelle in Poupelle of Chimney Town, and you are listening to JeanBookNerd.com.